BM1 by Ros Barber. Your place of birth? An upstairs room just after lunchtime. September. Sunlight turns the floor to honey. In Norfolk Square, luminous police harangue the drunks. White lightning and special brew toast your arrival in their neighbourhood. You are roared through the last half foot, sworn slippery into your father's hands, and a man who shouts at his invisible wife heaves the caterpillar skin of his sleeping bag over his shoulder. You are beautiful. Your skin is soaked in air, your lungs crackle open, you breathe. While the girl at the till wears her boyfriend's jealousy, she counts out change. No one even asks her to tell the lie. You don't cry. You blink at the light as if you had no idea there was an outside. But this isn't half of it. Through the glass, up the street, people once as new as you are ticking like grenades with their pins pulled, none of them aware. You are sharing the same thin air. How we loved you, out of nothing. Nine by Jess Moriarty. I am 9 months and 18 days pregnant. I am so full the waters overflow the bed and pour onto the hospital floor. The surgeon tells us the baby isn't coming. She will have to cut me up. She'll keep the stitches small. Paul asks for 5 minutes while he changes into the blue scrubs he will later steal. I'm 2 beats behind on an epidural the nice man keeps topping up. I ask him to turn off Duffy. I can't give birth to Radio 2. No pain as the knife goes in. I don't wince or cry as she prizes me open. There's a tugging in my groin and Paul mouths, I love you, again and again. And I try to make a joke, but I'm interrupted. A feral noise splits the air in two. And then there is no me or I anymore. You are just everything. And this we made it feeling takes over. And all the love we have for you builds up, exploding over the bed, out of the room, across the rooftops, way beyond the stars.
Hi, Jess Moriarty, Principal Lecturer of English Literature at Brighton University. Have you met Ros Barber? And if so, what was it like to meet her? And did you tell her about your poem? And if you haven't met her, do you think you would show her the poem if you did?
Ros actually taught me when I did a creative writing master's over at Sussex University, and she was formidable. She was really brutal with feedback. So on one hand, she was an amazing inspiration. She writes fantastic personal poetry, but also she uses research to inform her poetry. Her book, The Marlowe Papers, is a novel in verse, and it's fantastic. It's an outstanding piece of literature. But I was really inspired by her when I was doing my MA, and I can remember thinking that I wanted to have that same combination of rigour, but also human and personal kind of links and attitude towards my teaching and with my students as well. So in terms of the poem, I haven't shown her any of the poetry that I've read. I sometimes bump into her at different events in Brighton. I think I would share it with her. I'd probably go back to the classroom mode, being scared that she was going to tear me limb from limb. But yes, I'd be really happy. I'm always really interested in sharing poems about motherhood and childbirth with not just people that have been through it, but anyone just to get their response. I think that's why we write, isn't it? To yeah. Make connections with people and see how they respond. So yeah, I'd be really happy to share it with her.
When did you first come into contact with Barber's poem, and what effects do you think it has had on you, both personally and professionally?
So Ros didn't read this poem to me when I was at university. A friend of mine, who's actually the writer-in-residence at the moment, Claire Best, shared this poem with me a few years ago, and it's always stayed with me. You know, it doesn't matter how many times I read the poem, it always moves me, it always connects me. And what I love about it is this weird mix of a very personal, a real kind of personal insight into a human experience that also kind of reaches out and connects with the wider world. Of course, it's in Brighton as well, so I love using that with the students as well. But I think that idea of looking inwards and looking outwards is so important as a writer, and it's something that I really try to develop confidence in with my own students. You know, writing is seen as such a narcissistic act by some people. To have that confidence in your ideas and your creativity and to want to share that with people is often seen as quite arrogant. But actually I see it as quite a generous act to want to do that, to want to engage a community of people with how you see the world and your creativity. I think is an amazingly generous thing to do as well. So I think that process of looking in but also looking up and out is really crucial to my teaching. And I think that's something that this poem does really well, but also the language and the metaphor and the texture in it is really beautiful as well. So there's all kinds of things going on there that I hope I bring to my teaching, and I think it's a great poem for engaging students with ideas about writing, but also making them think, yeah, I can write about experience too, and that can be relevant to the world outside the classroom.
It's a kind of question of bringing something that is usually viewed as not relevant is in the past, perhaps, or like not very contemporary, making it very much about the now, like what students can make it to be now to them.
I suppose I think students often have confidence issues around what they think or what they feel or their own experiences, and wondering, is that going to be interesting or relevant or mean anything to anyone else? And I hope that they feel empowered as a result of doing some of the modules that I'm involved with. I hope that they think, yes, I do have something to say, and I do want to share it, and I do want to get people thinking and talking about it as well. You know, that is the most important thing about my teaching, I suppose. So hopefully it's giving them confidence to kind of look within themselves and the things they want to talk about, and then giving them the skills and techniques that we identify in other authors to bring that to life.
So it's just a matter of making people feel comfortable with their experiences to share and then build upon it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if we're writing kind of fantasy or something that's completely imaginative or fictitious, we're drawing on things that we know or experience, or characters that we've known and experienced, whether they're real or within literature. But I think by doing close and critical reading and engaging with different theories, that kind of gives us a tool set for connecting what we think and what we feel and what we care about with a kind of wider audience through our poetry, through our plays, through our prose writing as well.
Brilliant. How and to what extent do you think motherhood has affected your creative work? Do you think you became a better author when you became a mother, or not?
Well, I suppose a good case, so I started my doctorate, and I got pregnant with my son when I started work on my doctorate, and then by the time I'd finished the doctorate, I had two children. I had two children by the end of it, and my doctorate was a mix of, so I was writing poetry, but I also wrote an autobiographical script about working at the university, and also, you know, the academic writing, the kind of critical work and research that I was doing as part of the PhD was very personal as well. So the experience of being pregnant and giving birth, I certainly found very creative, very liberating. So do I think I'm a better author as a result of having children? I think I'd probably credit everything in my life now to my children. So that would be the easiest answer to say. I think for me, having children, the flaw sort of falls away. I mean, your capacity to love and your kind of empathy with other human beings and other people as well, for me, kind of expanded on all sorts of different levels. And I think the poem that I read demonstrates that idea as well, or tries to crystallise it in some way. So I think it's a weird mix. I think my identity is always changing, and that's connected to being a mother, it's connected with being a tutor, it's connected with being a partner, it's being a daughter, and everything else as well, that's ever evolving. I think the really difficult thing about being creative is finding time and legitimising your creativity, and obviously being a mother makes that difficult. But actually, in order to be happy, I need to be creative. So in order to be a good mother, I need to be creative as well, if that makes sense. So they're all kind of woven in with each other. But yes, for the purposes of my children's therapy in the future, I'm a more creative person because of my children. But also working with the students at the university and the staff that I work with, that makes me feel more creative as well. So you know, all of those things can be potentially stifling, but they're also really enriching and liberating as well. So we all have high and low days with our creativity, I suppose.
Just out of interest, have you written any short stories for your kids?
I haven't, you know what, I haven't written any short stories. I make up stories for them, and I talk, and you know, we're often performing things, and we read aloud and things to each other all the time. But I don't, I'm probably too cynical, and my mind is probably too much in the gutter to be writing children's stories at the moment. And actually they write fantastic stories, and they're very expressive and very kind of free with their creativity as well. So they're probably teaching me a lot more about storytelling than I'm teaching them at the moment. And actually, I don't think I'll ever write stories for them. Hopefully, when they're older, they'll look back at some of the stories that I've written, and they'll be interested in some ways. But no, that's not something that that sits with me. Children's stories, no. But maybe in the future.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time, Jess, and I think that's everything.
Thank you.